W.F. House presents an unabridged recording of The Mysterious Mr Nakamoto by Benjamin Wallace, narrated by Benjamin Wallace.
For Nicole and Lucinda. It's him. If Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous inventor of Bitcoin, was who I believed him to be, he was not going to acknowledge it. He probably wouldn't talk to me. And seeing him was going to mean sitting on a plane for 20 hours and driving another 8. But I needed to try to have a conversation with him, and it had to be face-to-face. Nakamoto had disappeared in the spring of 2011. I learned about him that summer when I wrote Wired's first feature article about Bitcoin, the internet-based currency that operated beyond the control of a government or bank. 12 years later, Bitcoin's creator remained unknown and his enormous fortune untouched. His anonymity and restraint were a confounding rebuttal to the acclaim and riches that would be his were he only to step out of the shadows. The modern history of science supplied no precedent for someone who conceived a revolutionary technology and brought it into the world without taking credit. Acolytes of Bitcoin, denied a flesh-and-blood human to venerate, had conferred on the pseudonym the halo of legend. In 2022, you could see Kanye West as he stepped from an Escalade in Beverly Hills wearing a Satoshi Nakamoto baseball hat. In Budapest, adherents had unveiled the first statue of Nakamoto, a depiction in bronze of a hooded, spectral figure. In the Vanuatu archipelago in the South Pacific Ocean, real estate developers sold shares in a utopian paradise named Satoshi Island. A trio of libertarians bought a decommissioned cruise ship, christened it the MS Satoshi, and recruited settlers for the world's first sovereign Bitcoin-powered society. More than one fellow technologist lobbied for Satoshi Nakamoto to receive a Nobel Prize. But the riddle of Nakamoto's identity stubbornly defied solution. Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, among others, speculated about it. Obsessed Nakamoto hunters strove to unearth new clues or remix existing ones in a more convincing way. By this point, more than 100 different suspects had been fingered. The intrigue transcended technology. In a world where the internet shone a pervasive light into every corner, there were vanishingly few unanswered questions of this kind. We'd learned who Bob Woodward's secret source was. We finally knew the proof of Fermat's last theorem. We'd been informed that Thomas Pynchon likely copped his bagels at Zabar's. When I first set out to write about Nakamoto, I couldn't have foreseen that more than a decade later his identity would be the last big mystery. It would have been still more ludicrous to imagine that the ghost behind the world's first cryptocurrency and the drive to decipher him would bring with them lawsuits, a car chase, a bounty, a $75 billion fortune, extortion attempts, death threats, a SWAT team, a suicide.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?